Before starting this episode, I would like to talk with you about the ecological catastrophe which is happening right now in the Amazonian forest. Now and more than ever, if you want to take actions and being the change you want this world to be, as Gandhi said. I've put some links in the descriptions of NGOs that work to protect and save what will remain of the lungs of our planet. Please do not give up and act as much as you can. See you later, everyone. Hey guys, welcome to Let's Talk Venture, the podcast dedicated to travelers, backpackers, and explorers with thousands of stories. My name is Tony, and today I'm talking with Jacob, an American who's visiting France during his summer holiday. Together, we talk about the places he has visited in France, his choices to learn French, and a comparison between the French culture and the American culture, and mostly in cinema. So here we go, let's talk venture with Jacob.
What?
So it picks it up right from there?
Yes. So what's your name?
Jacob.
Jacob.
With an American accent, yes, Jacob.
Did I say wrongly?
No. I've been saying Jacob because that's...
Because French people with
Yeah.
the accent like Jacob. Jacob. It's a real way to say it. Okay, can you introduce yourself like in short words?
Yeah. So I'm American. I'm from Maine, which is it's as far northeast as you can get in the United States, right on the border of Canada. And I actually haven't been to Canada. This is my first time.
I think you are the third American who told me that.
Really?
Like Detroit, is it near Canada or not?
Yeah. Well, not as close as I am, so it's pretty embarrassing for me. But yeah, this is my first time actually outside the U.S. at all. So.
Living the US?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you said you were in France since 1 month.
Yeah, well, actually 2 months since
2 months.
Since the 1st of June.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's been interesting. It's been a long time for sure, but yeah.
So you did it in a kind of solo trip, right? In only France?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what France?
So I started in Saint-Etienne using Workaway, which is a site kind of like woofing. It's sorry. And so I stayed there for about 3 weeks in Saint-Etienne, and then went to Bordeaux for a week with another family. And then after that, went to Montpellier for a week using a hostel. Then went to a place just outside Jean's, which is near Angers in the north of France, for 1 week. And then 1 week in Paris at a hostel. And now I'm here in Lyon just for a few days before my flight.
Okay. Did you have any preference of the city in France?
I kind of liked each. So, yeah, if I had to compare the cities, because I lived in more rural, and then because when I stayed in Saint-Etienne, I was right in the park, in the national park, Parc du Pilat.
Oh.
And I would take a bus to the city, but that was nice. But as far as comparing the cities, Bordeaux and Montpellier, it seemed like more English speaking, more tourists in Bordeaux.
Yeah.
And Montpellier, I liked more.
The beach, of course.
Yeah, that was nice. Bordeaux, it's like an hour from the beach, I guess, but it's not almost there.
Well, I think like Bordeaux, I have some friends who live in Bordeaux, and when I went there, actually, I just realized that you cannot go that easily to the beach. I think it's like 1 hour, 1 and a half of driving to go to the beach, and sometimes you don't even have places to park to enjoy it fully. And you cannot even swim in the river in Bordeaux because it's a really muddy river, right?
Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting you say that because where I'm from in Maine, there's
Oh, you say, can you spell?
oh Miene en français.
Man, okay, I didn't know this.
So that is well, yeah, sorry. In that state, we try to keep our river water very clean.
Yes.
So a lot of people will actually go swimming in it because it's so clean. So it's nice. There's a lot of little rivers, whereas in France, it's not like that. So it's been interesting. Yeah. Also, yeah. When I went to, I went to the Dune du Pilat,
Yes.
which is in Arcachon, or right near it. And yeah, so I took a train there that was like half an hour, I think, with the train, so not too bad. And I think it's like every half an hour that another train shows up, so it's, if you miss one, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, where I was staying actually in Combe. It's spelled C-A-M-B-E-S,
Okay.
and yeah, so I would take a bus from there that was like a half an hour to Bordeaux, and then I would take the train to Arcachon, but anyway, yeah, I ended up missing my. They canceled the train that I had to take, so
French transportation.
yeah. So I took the next one, but then I didn't get to the bus in time, so the host was able to get me, but I felt bad about it.
So it was in which city did they manage to grab you back?
I took the bus from.
Yeah.
Is it? To Combe.
Combe. Okay.
Combe. Yeah.
That's actually really nice from the hostel to send. They send a taxi, right, to grab you.
No, they drove. Well, there's a bus route from Combe. I don't really know how to say it, but each person kind of pronounced it differently, honestly. So I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but
Okay.
But yeah, there's a bus route that goes. It's like bus 501 that I learned pretty quickly. Goes from there to Bordeaux. Yeah, and then I took the train from there to Arcachon. And yeah, the Dune du Pilat. I was in the south of France, actually during the first heat wave, I was in Montpellier. So that was a different time, but it was pretty hot the day that I went to Dune du Pilat, and yeah, it was really pretty, but it was really hot too.
Yeah, I think so. Can you, I know that the Dune of Pilat is mostly a hill full of sand, right? But I've never been there yet. I just saw pictures, but I don't know if when you are at the bottom of the dune, you can go to the sea and swim a little bit, or no, not at all.
Yeah, you can.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so there's the bus stops in a little wooded area, but just before the dune. And there's shops set up, with ice cream and stuff and tourist things. And yeah, you walk through and it slowly gets more sandy, and then there's actually stairs that they've put into the dune to help with getting up it. And then there's a couple peaks. For the most part, people stay on the first peak because the second peak isn't really too much higher. So, but I decided I'm here, I should get the full experience. So I went, and I don't know if it was really worth it, but I was sitting up there, and I watched a guy walk up from where I was sitting. I could view the beach down there, and people were down there swimming. And I watched a guy walk all the way up from there to where I was, and then lay down a towel and start tanning. So it was interesting.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
how do you feel like so after these 2 months of solo trip? How was that?
I definitely feel like I've improved my French quite a bit. I'm still like not great, but yeah, it's definitely improved quite a bit. But the first few weeks especially were very difficult, being on my own, not being able to see my
But
friends.
you had the French classes or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I used Duolingo a little bit. You know that. And then I took 2 semesters this last fall and last spring, and then actually through my French professor, I learned about the Workaway site, which is how I was able to do that. So, and while I'm going to school, I'm just working part-time at a bookstore, so it's easy to take time off. And
Okay. So it's part of your study to learn French.
yeah.
Okay.
Actually, my major, concentration in Europe, I guess.
Okay.
But in the United States, there's majors and minors, which would correspond to like a degree with like a subsection of the degree would be the minor. So my major was English, and I changed it with a French minor, and I changed it to French linguistics major with an English minor. So.
But okay, maybe it's from the French perspective, but is it really useful to learn French?
Yeah. If you want to, be like a French teacher or either doing something like that, teaching or do translation. I haven't really looked into translation. What like probably I think there's more of like a market for. Because everyone will try to do French, I think.
Because everyone knows that the French doesn't know how to speak properly English. It's commonly known, I know. With few exceptions. But
Yeah, I slowly through my time here, I've noticed. So when people would speak English back to me, I felt offended that my French wasn't good enough. But slowly, I realized it was more that they wanted to show that they could speak English. Maybe it was a little bit of the first two. So I felt a little bit better about that.
But I feel like now with the younger generation of French people, I think we are more common to speak easily English, like where because there are more and more TV shows or movies that are now fully in English, like you can choose. Because before 2005 in France, you didn't have choice. There was in movie theater only movies dubbed in French, and everything that was on TV was also dubbed in French.
Okay.
But now with the technology and the new IT TV, like the intelligent TV, smart TV.
Yeah. So
Yes, you can. At some point, you could choose and switch between shows, watch it in English or watch it in French. But now with the new generation, sometimes we definitely prefer to watch things in English instead of French. So that's why I think the new generation here in France starts to have more used here to listen to English. So that's why we are more capable, I think, to speak French than our parents that have and still have a lot of problems to speak in English.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's where I stayed in Saint Etienne, the host, I picked them because they didn't speak English. But that was interesting.
But where I was going with my former question, like, is it really interesting to learn French? Isn't it more interesting to learn Spanish?
Well, not for me. For me, there's a lot of there's a lot of different reasons I chose French. So, at least in my region of the United States, and I think for most of the United States, the two main languages that are common to learn as your second language would be French or Spanish.
Yeah.
So I chose French over Spanish for a lot of different reasons, but mainly, generally, it's just the culture I was more drawn to, and also this wasn't really like a main reason, but I felt like it would be easier to learn Spanish, at least at first, versus French, because well, just actually that reminds me that everyone here that I've told that I'm learning French has told me it's very difficult. Even from them, it's interesting to hear. So, but yeah, I don't know. And also in the United States, our view of Spanish is more closely associated with Mexico versus Spain. So I'm not sure really the culture of Spain, but the culture of Mexico. Not that it's bad. It's just my preference. I preferred French culture that I had learned about. Also, I'm so close to Canada that
they don't speak the same French.
That's true. Yeah. I wanted to come here actually before just to try to hope I can learn not the right French, but yeah.
So now, do you manage to make the distinction between the Québécois and the French, or you think it's the same language and you doesn't hear the difference?
Well, I'll be able to compare when I go to Canada.
Okay.
There was a Canadian student in my French class, but other than that, I haven't really heard. I've heard some Canadians stand up.
Yeah.
But
it's brilliant. It's just like, I think for every French person, listening to a Canadian person is like a joy, because there is so much fun and so much joy of in their accent. It's just like it's magic. It's magic. It's we don't call it proper. I had this conversation with a Canadian guy, and we were trying to see, okay, maybe like sometimes the accent is the right way to pronounce things in your own country, but from another perspective, for another country, maybe it's wrong, but like it just depends where you stay. And you say, no, we just all know that our French is not that good, but we're real French. It was honest, but also at the same time, it's really, really funny to hear.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. I will say I was watching a French show on Netflix.
Marseille?
No.
There's another one.
So yeah, I didn't want like a dramatic show. I wanted like a comedy.
Okay.
Which wasn't easy to find. But there was two that I watched. There was Call My Agent, which in French I think is 10%.
What?
Le nom est 10%.
10%?
Oui.
10%?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Et l'autre, c'est Au service de la France.
Au service de la France. Okay. So service of France.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it good?
Yeah. I liked Au service de la France more. I watched through that almost twice. But yeah, in that one, they're in the French Secret Service.
Yeah.
And yes, they have people from Canada who come and they can't understand them. So that was funny. Yeah.
Because I feel like there is this big cultural things in France. Like you have population who is kind of divided between in the movie industry. Like you have French cinema, which can be really, really good, but most of the time we just say, okay, no, it looks really, really bad compared to American cinema or Japanese cinema. Japanese cinema is pretty big here in France as well, like the animation mangas and anime.
Yeah.
And I forgot what I wanted to say. And yeah, sometimes like, so in the USA, do you often watch French movies or movies from all over the world? Or
No. Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, I knew that Hollywood was, you know, like big, like universally.
yeah,
But it was interesting to see like how big, and it was interesting to hear you say earlier about, yeah, how that's kind of new for it not to be dubbed in French too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting.
yeah,
But yeah, no, in the United States, it's mostly, at least at the movie theaters, it would be, yeah, just, you know, United States films.
okay,
There are people, of course, that want to be, want to experience other cultural movies, so they'll watch, but the mainstream is, no, just, United States, Hollywood, yeah.
yeah. I think in France, if you had to do a repartition of the nationality in cinema, I would say, let's go, 40% American, 40% French, and maybe 20% from other countries.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense from what I've seen going to the cinemas, and there's like usually one, maybe two French films.
But yeah, but actually, it's, I think it goes with the quality sometimes. Like the American movie industry, okay, not always good, but sometimes if it's good, it's really, really good. For the French industry, movie for the French movies, sometimes it's good, but it's not always. It's like rarely, rarely,
Yeah,
rarely,
rarely. Yeah.
rarely, really good. It's sometimes good, but not great. And most of the time, it's just okay. And sometimes you have really shitty movies in the USA as well.
Yeah, that's true. So
Like 10 movies with
We just-
with big guys with big cars. Okay, that's enough.
you're talking about The Rock?
Yeah. Actually, okay. I like the person of The Rock. He has a lot of charisma. He looks like a great human being. But for doing that many things, I would prefer to have less movie, but with better quality than too much movie. Saying, oh, again, one more like that.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
like,
And that's always, yeah, like, at least with action movies, it's always kind of been like that. Like, they'll have, like, an actor for so many years that, like, every summer or something, he'll
yes.
get another action movie. But today, a big thing is there's not a lot of, new, like, good original movies. It's mostly just either, like, a reimagining or a sequel or...
Actually, I don't fully agree with that. I think we say it's typically the phrase like, oh, it was better before, something like that, right? But what I think is that it was the same thing that happened. It has always been the same things. Even I think 20 or 50 years ago, everyone was saying, yeah, the movie that was made 10 years ago were way much better, and now we just have creepy crap movies. But I think what's happening now is that in 10 years they will say the same, because all the crappy movies will be forgot. Like you will just remember the really, really good movies that came during the few years now. Like you will remember about the Mad Max Fury Road, you will remember about the Dark Knight, you will remember about Rogue One, Star Wars, you will remember like this kind of movies, like which made something special at some like end games of Marvel, and you will forget about all the rest, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Because like a good example of that is like now you only remember, for example, Once Upon a Time in the West, the good, the bad, the villain, right? All these Italian Western movies.
Good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But what people forgot is that at that time there was so many cowboy Western movies that came out, and they all have been forgotten. And I think most of them were average, not that good. But now you think, yeah, it was great time of movie industry, but it's just you just forgot the other one that wasn't that great actually.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. But I don't know. It seems like, but at least they were trying. Like, even if they weren't as good, they were trying to make a more original movies.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
now it's like, kind of feels like it lacks creativity.
Yeah, sometimes, but I feel like you still have some little joy of some exceptions of movies that came out, and you say you universally say agree. You universally agree that that these movies were great, were good.
Yeah.
Okay, change of subject. Was there a moment during the 2 months where you said, "Okay, that's what the fuck, that's what the fuck moment"?
Yeah, if I could go back and do it, I wouldn't have stayed in Saint Etienne for 3 weeks. Actually, it was almost 4 weeks. It was like 3.5. I would have, because pretty much everywhere else I stayed for about a week, and 3 weeks.
You stayed 3 weeks in Saint Etienne?
Yeah, in the park. So it was.
Okay.
So it was nice walking around and stuff, but it was also pretty secluded. So it was interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, with Workaway, it's for the most part you meet pretty good people, and my host there was great, but it was a lot of work, a little bit. Yeah, so most places will do they'll say on their profile like 4 to 5 hours of work a day, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And with her, it kind of started to go over that, and so it would be like 6 or 7 hours. But then after that, I would help with preparing the food because she also had clients there. So really, it was like an all-day thing. So it was fine though. I mean, it was a beautiful area, and I still had the weekends to like go and do whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I could do it again, I would maybe just spend a week there and go somewhere else. Maybe somewhere more north. I think, given the temperature.
What did you do? What did you do there? You walk in the park to do gardening, or?
Yeah. I helped her with. So most people who are using Workaway are doing renovations to their, either doing renovations to their house or something like that, or or maintaining like a farm kind of thing. So with her, she was doing renovations, and I helped with like sanding wood, painting, gardening, trimming hedges and stuff. Weeding, stuff like that.
Okay. Nice.
So wasn't too bad, but
Yeah.
it was.
But so you just did Walkaway in this place in Saint Etienne, and then you didn't do Walkaway in the other city of France?
No, I did. I went in Bordeaux. The host or the family I stayed with there, I was using Workaway, but they proposed a very light Workaway, so it was like 3 hours a day. But the exception was like they didn't offer you meals; you just bought your own food.
Yes.
So I liked that more though.
Okay.
It was nice. And then in Montpellier, I didn't use Workaway. I used a hostel. And then in Jean's near Angers, I used Workaway again for a week. And then after that, it's been hostels in Paris and here.
Okay. Did you like Paris?
Yeah. Yeah, I could have spent much longer time there exploring everything, but I really mostly liked all the parks or the gardens. Obviously the Jardin de Tuileries.
Oh yes.
That was really nice. And there's a lot of little neighborhood almost gardens that were really nice too.
Okay.
I didn't go to the top of the Eiffel Tower.
Why?
The days I could have gone, it was pretty hot. It was 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is however much Celsius. So I went to it and I saw it, which was nice. And across the Seine River, there's this community fountain pool area, which I didn't go in, but just being near it was cooled you off, and it was nice, and you could see the Eiffel Tower right there. It was nice. Yeah.
Okay, nice. I'm not a big fan actually from Paris.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm originally from nearby Paris.
Oh, okay.
So if you look on the map, you have Paris, you have the Seine-et-Marne, you have the Île-de-France province, and I live in the east part of Île-de-France.
Okay.
So it's 20 minutes or 25 minutes commitment to go to Paris. But because I have grown up nearby Paris, so I'm kind of vaccinated now of the beauty of Paris. It's just okay, I just see the part where I have to pay really a lot of money to go inside Paris, or once I will be in Paris, there will be a lot of dirtiness all over and peat smells everywhere. So not such a big fan of Paris anymore.
Yeah, I can see that. What was I gonna say?
I think now I definitely prefer the smaller cities in France, like Lyon or Nantes, which is in the west part of France. Nantes is really cool.
Is that in the Pyrenees
No,
mountains?
the Pyrenees Mountains is in the south.
Oh, okay.
The Nantes, it's the part of France where, so you see it's the kind of octagon, right?
Oh,
Octagonal,
yeah.
this shape, and so you have the west part here, where you have the Brittany, and you have the big cities of Brittany. It's Rennes, and you have Nantes. That's what.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And so Nantes is more like a kind of students' city with a lot of arts, culture, and a more social city, I would say, than Paris.
That's cool. I'd like to visit that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, when I went to Paris for the first time, I expected it to be more like New York.
Oh, okay.
So it was very manageable to me compared to New York.
Okay.
Because New York can be very hectic, and given you're surrounded by skyscrapers, you can't really, it's hard to get a map of the area in your head. But so it was more manageable in that sense. I think in general I would want to travel more in the winter just because it's been so hot. There's a lot of places I didn't explore just because it was too hot.
Okay.
But
Nice. Okay. Do you want to add something to end the recording?
I'm sorry for Trump.
So for what?
I'm sorry for Trump.
Okay, I love this conclusion. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
A big thanks to Jacob who has accepted to talk with me during this episode. Thank you for listening to it. You can find other episodes of Let's Talk Venture on YouTube, Apple Podcast, PodCloud and the Internet Archive. You can follow my adventure on Instagram. All the links will be in the descriptions. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a thumbs up and 5 stars, and I'll see you next Monday.
I must be lost or high, 'cause a man staring back at me. Have trouble recognizing.